If you think that relationships are just a lot of work, if you think that relationships take away your freedom, if you think that relationships are the most amazing thing in the world, like, what are your beliefs about relationships? Because whatever you believe is exactly what it's going to show you. We pick up the energy of our loved ones, their doubts, their fears, their insecurities, and also their great stuff too, right? Like all the good and yummy stuff that's also contagious. This is why taking accountability, responsibility for our wounds. Welcome to Enlighten Up with Christy, the podcast where you learn to choose yourself, rewrite your story, and create love, success, and purpose from the inside out. I'm your host, Christy, and here we go, beyond surface level change into real transformation. All right. Well, welcome back to Enlighten Up with Christy. I'm your host, Christy. And I'm so excited to be here with all of you again today. And we're going to dive into talking a little bit about what happens in your 40s. How many of you are 40 out there, coming up on 40? How many of you remember your 40s? You know, nobody ever prepared me for that midlife section of the road of life that we all navigate down. And that's why I'm here, to just have some real talk with you. Because I don't know where you're at. Maybe you're in your 20s and, you're in your grind. Last episode, we talked a little bit about some 20-year-olds that I was just working with. And in 20s, you're all just trying to figure yourself out. You are having fun. You're grinding. If you found your career path, you're trying quite a few different things to figure out what you want to do. Usually in the 30s, you start to settle down and you've had a family in your 20s or 30s. Something changes in 40s. And it's usually the early 40s where something starts to shift, and you find a lot of people actually go through divorces in their 40s. And I think it's really important that we talk about it. We talk about what's happening, because I do know that a lot of marriages and partnerships could have been saved or protected had they known what was happening, had they had the tools to understand what was happening. So for those of you that may or may not know, I was married for over 20 years to a very lovely man. I had 3 sons with him. We raised a beautiful family in Kansas. We had a white picket fence life, built the dream home, traveled the world, a magical family. We got married when I was 20. And looking back, I now see that I married someone that was like my grandfather, because my grandfather was the most stable man that I had in my life. All my other fathers weren't stable. They weren't available. It was mostly toxic masculinity that I experienced growing up. So my ex was an example of my grandfather's presence. Grandpa never really talked, much, but he was there, and he was safe, and he was kind. And that's what I knew from my standpoint, what healthy partnership looked like. So had a family, had a beautiful, safe marriage, but there was always something that was missing. And I brought it up so many times, but for whatever reason, there was not a mutual agreement that we both needed to be on the same growth page. And no matter how hard I tried, we just butted heads in that department. And so I wound up giving up. I gave up on the idea that my partner really wanted to work in those areas with me. And so I kept growing on my own, and I outgrew the relationship. Never, ever had I planned that to happen, because I always had a dream that I wanted to be married forever, because I never wanted my boys to go through what I had to navigate as a kid. Was never a part of the agenda. And so what's interesting though is, I think I've shared this with y'all before, I prayed. This was probably 7 years ago. I said a prayer and I asked God for more love in my life. It was the first time I prayed for more. I really prayed for more love. And I realized that my relationship with my ex, it just wasn't moving. And it felt like it felt like it was like this. You know how a car starts to run out of gas? That's what it felt like. Never did I imagine that the Creator would answer my prayer. But the interesting thing about prayers is we have to be really mindful of how we pray our prayers. Again, I talk about conscious formulas because if we don't have a strong foundation, we can really have disruptive endings that can hurt ourselves and hurt a lot of people. So it's so important to go into every decision that we make with the highest consciousness, never fear, but high consciousness, right? And that's what I always like to navigate with my clients is how to navigate change with consciousness and to do it in a way that creates more love and compassion rather than fear and hurt. Sometimes you can't avoid the hurt, but the intention is always the most important, like how you go about it, how you go about making conscious changes or having conscious conversations. So, what was interesting is that my soul was ready to elevate. And in my career, I had reached a peak and I had learned what I needed to learn there, which was a tremendous amount. And in my relationship, I had learned the max of what I needed to learn. And my soul needed to expand and grow. So I do believe that if your partner is not willing to do the journey with you, to do the work, to dig in, the Creator will force you apart so that you can attract then a partner that will be willing to mirror for you all the stuff that you need to see that you have yet to see because you've needed someone to really dig in and do the work with you. Some of you are tired and you're like, I don't want to do any more work. I spent all my life working. I don't want to do any more work. And I just want to challenge you. Well, listen, you have the right to say that. Obviously, it's your life. You do what you want with it. But I learned for myself when I got to that point, when I was just tired. I was tired. I was tired. I was tired. I don't even know what else to say other than the fact that I had just been everything, tried everything to be the best that I could, to be the best mother, the best wife, the best daughter, the best leader, the best everything. And I was tired. I just honestly, I just wanted to love me. I wanted to figure out who the heck I was when I didn't put on all these costumes. Who was I when I wasn't playing the role that everybody expected me to play, right? There was more to explore in the world, and I had not even scratched the surface yet. And man, I just wanted to experience the richness and the beauty of life in a way that I had never experienced before. And I did. And that's coming in the book I'm writing right now. So you all have to wait to read it. I think it's pretty profound. But why does this pertain to you? Because you might be in a relationship right now that's bland, boring, confrontational, chaotic, traumatic, avoidant, anxious. I don't know. What does it look like? But I'm going to encourage you to have your partner listen to this episode. And I'm going to encourage you both to say, we need to do the work. We're going to message Christy. We're going to book a free call with her. And we're going to have a talk because we know that if we keep doing what we're doing, we're going to keep getting what we're getting. And you don't want that, right? Take control before the vehicle crashes is what I'm asking you all to do. Pay attention to all the signs and the clues that something's off. I went through a few different therapists in my journey, and I will tell you it was helpful. But nothing has been more transformational for me than learning the consciousness of from the spiritual teachers that I've walked by over the last 25 years. And so the curriculum that we teach is more a consciousness, and there's skills and tools to use and that you've never likely been exposed to. They're templates for you to understand the layers and the fabric of relationship life. No one gave you this blueprint to tell you how to be a wife or a father or a mother or father or wife or husband or even a parent, right? And so you've been doing the best you can with the model and the foundation you were exposed to as a child. Some of you had a beautiful life and some of you not so beautiful, but you chose it. You indeed chose it. Your soul chose the parents and the life that you came into for your soul's correction. It's very important you understand that. And your partner also, right? Like understanding the correction that you both have and being able to really not bypass the ego, but really be able to set the ego aside and say, you know what? No longer do I want my ego running the show here and using the program that was installed in me by my ancestors, but rather with my partner, we're going to co-create together a plan, a map to navigate our inner child wounds as much compassion as we can. We're going to have hard conversations. We're going to have fun again. We're going to have meaningful intimacy again. Passionate sex, if you've ever had it or not had it. Like, all this matters. And many of you, you get to a point where you just don't know what else to do, right? And so I really want to encourage you to reach out and schedule that free call for us to navigate it together. Now, the other ones that I want to talk to, the other listeners who are, maybe you're looking for the love of your life. Maybe you want to be in a relationship, but you don't know if you believe in relationships anymore. Maybe you've been burned, or you've been burdened by relationships. Maybe you just lost the faith. I'm here to tell you that you are so close to meeting one of your soulmates, if indeed you believe. And there are certain techniques that I teach men and women to implement that draws their soulmate closer. But there are some limiting beliefs that we have to remove and we have to get rid of. Limiting beliefs are really what sinks most of our ships. And so I would really encourage you to ask yourself, what is your belief about being in a relationship? Do you understand really what the meaning of a relationship is? What is your meaning of a relationship? What's your story? If you think that relationships are just a lot of work, if you think that relationships take away your freedom, if you think that relationships are the most amazing thing in the world, like, what are your beliefs about relationships? Because whatever you believe is exactly what it's going to show you, okay? If you grew up seeing that relationships are just hard because that's all you saw, you're going to believe it should be hard. And you're going to meet people that are going to model that for you. So you see, there's a lot more to this than what meets the eye, quite frankly. There's energetic systems that have been passed down, energetic beliefs, energetic programs, spells have been passed down generation after generation. And unfortunately, we get the gift of cleaning it up. And if we don't clean it up, someone's going to have to clean it up, whether that's our children or our grandchildren, if you have children. And so I really just want to inspire you to reconsider a passive relationship living, like living like a robot in your relationship. I really want to encourage you to show up, do something, take accountability, take responsibility. If you're not taking responsibility, I'm telling you, it's not going to get any better. And that's with anything, whether it be your finances or your health, or your relationships, friendships, spirituality. Whatever you're avoiding is the very thing that's calling your name. Whatever you're thinking most of the time really begins to be the roadmap for the future, right? And if we're not careful, we begin to pick up all of these sounds and noises, right? And a lot of the noises, it's not even us. It's interesting that the other day I was talking to my middle son, and we were chatting about some healing. And he had shared something with me about his childhood that he had interpreted a certain way. And I had also an interpretation about what being a mother needed to look like and how I needed to show up for each of the boys differently. One of the beliefs that I had was that I felt guilty for spending more time with Dylan and Cruz, my oldest and youngest, because my middle one he would just go up to his room and play Legos, he was so easy. And I remember feeling guilt, like he's always, just acting like he doesn't need extra attention. So I started giving him extra attention when I could. He shared with me his interpretation of that was that he needed more help than the other two. That blew me away, right? It blew me away because, quite frankly, my guilt I had for, not feeling like I was being enough of a parent, he absorbed that energy as a little child. He absorbed my fear. He absorbed my worry, and he took it on as his own. Here, he's in his mid-20s and we're having this conversation, mother-son conversation, and we're just both like, wow. I mean, number one, how important and beautiful it is that any one of us should be having conversations with our children or our parents, especially if you feel any kind of tension in between the relationship. Ask more questions, be more curious, don't be defensive, take responsibility. But it was really fascinating, right? Because I'm just trying to be the best mom I can be, being a busy, busy mom and a busy, entrepreneur. I just wanted to I wanted to be the best role model I could be for them. And so the only thing I knew to do was to show up bigger or more. And his interpretation of that was very different than what I was giving. So why do I tell you this? Because I truly believe that we're all just doing the best that we can, but we also have corrections. Every one of us has a correction. And not in a million years would I have ever thought that he would have interpreted my extra love as that. But what's fascinating to me is that we pick up the energy of our loved ones, their doubts, their fears, their insecurities, and also their great stuff too, right? Like all the good and yummy stuff that's also contagious. But this is why taking accountability, responsibility for our wounds, our fears, and our lack is so important, especially if you're a parent, especially because we pass that stuff down, and that's not fair. It's not fair to the kids, right? It's not fair that the generations before us, they didn't have the tools. So if you're listening to this now, you have an opportunity to gain the tools to clean up the dishes. But if you don't do it, then the cycle repeats. It'll repeat and repeat and repeat. All right. And you think may be no dirty dishes, but there's probably some hiding in places you never imagined. Right. That's why we really need to have check-ins weekly with the ones that we love. How are you? How's life? What's new? Anything bothering you? What's the great news? Is any good news? Is there any way I can help you? Just show up more consciously for the ones that you love, right? Just show them that you care. Show them that they matter. Show them that love exists. Unconditional love exists. Okay, we're going to end there because there's a lot more to talk about here. There's so much to dive into. All right, so stay tuned and we'll see you on the next episode of Enlighten Up with Christy. If this episode spoke to you, share it with someone who needs it, and don't forget to subscribe so we can continue rewriting your story with us. Until next time, choose yourself.